Hello, everybody.
We are the winemakers at Parrish Family Vineyard, and we're here to talk about our 2021 Chardonnay. And first of all, I'd like to just talk about the variety itself, Chardonnay. It's actually considered a Burgundy. It is actually grown for Champagne, up in the Champagne area, and also in other areas of France. But it is a very versatile grape. It can be grown in cool, moderate, or warm areas, but I think it's most famous for the cooler areas in Burgundy, and that's why we consider it really a Burgundy variety. The nice thing I think we like about the cooler climates for Chardonnay is the acid is a little brighter, and acid seems to bring out some of the vibrant aromas and flavors that Chardonnay has to offer. One of the favorite areas of Cody and ours is where they make the Chardonnay is in Burgundy around Côte de Bon. It is a little bit warmer than Chablis and other places, and yet it's cool enough where, of course, it has great acid, and then it has the fruit profile a little bit wider. In other words, it's not only a little bit of pear and apple, but also has a little bit of the stone fruit all the way into tropical. So looking in California for a cool area to actually get our Chardonnay grapes, we went to San Maria. And San Maria is a very cool area, has a lot of fog. If you love fog, it's a great place to live. It's very cool. And for us, this seemed like it was the best place to get our Chardonnay grapes. It's the only grape that we don't grow, because we grow here in Paso Robles, and it's a little bit warm, we feel, for the style
that we're trying to achieve.
What we're trying to achieve. And so we are trying to achieve kind of a medium to medium high acid with a more broader profile of fruit flavors.
Said we are aiming for around 23 to 24 bricks, which converts to around a high 13 to maybe a low 14% alcohol, which creates a nice body for the wine, but retains the acid. And so we brought the fruit in on a cool morning, brought it in, and we put it directly whole cluster onto the shaker table. We do a hand sorting beforehand, basically trying to remove any kind of mog material other than grapes, mainly consisting of green leaves, which creates a little bitterness. So basically only perfect clusters can get through into the press. The press is a bladder press. It's basically a large balloon that expands and presses the clusters against the press itself. It's a very soft press used for high-end whites usually. And so we're putting CO2 or dry ice into the press, limiting any kind of oxygen. And what we do actually is rotate it for about 2 hours. We want a little bit of skin contact. We find that it creates a little more intensity, a little more flavor and aromas when we do that, instead of directly pressing once it gets inside the press. So after those 2 hours, we start the press cycle, which takes another 2 hours. And then after those 2 hours, it goes directly into a stainless steel tank. And we let the juice basically settle overnight, around 24 hours, and basically rack off the lees, which is basically all the pulp, heavy sediment that falls out of solution. And what we did is kind of a Burgundian style is very famous for is do a barrel fermentation, actually, really popular Chardonnay. And that Chardonnay, it creates a creamier texture. It integrates the oak at a much more efficient and smoother rate, as opposed to doing stainless steel and then barreling down into oak barrels afterwards. We chose to do 70% new French oak and then 30% neutral French oak. We chose a light toast, and so that lighter toast is going to be more of creme brulee, baking spices, kind of a coconut, very subtle aromas. We didn't want anything dominant, nothing coffee, nothing tobacco. We wanted to literally promote the fruit and have like underlying tones of oak. And so we fermented in barrel for about 2 weeks. We stirred every single day, helps maintain the yeast activity, a healthy fermentation, and at the same time creates a mouthfeel. By storing up that lees constantly, it creates a smoother, richer texture. But yeah, after 2 weeks, it went dry, and we went straight into malolactic fermentation. And malolactic fermentation is basically the conversion of malic acid to lactic acid. Basically a green apple acid to a milk acid, which is a lot softer. promoting even greater mouthfeel. And that takes around a month. We stir around weekly, so a little batonnage on there. And then once that's finished, we'd rack into tank, final racking there, and then get any of the lees off of it, and then directly in the same barrels, barrel back down to those barrels. And we let the wine age for actually 20 months, so a long time in barrel, but that promotes micro-oxidation, more complexity in the fruit. It's not so much straight fruit. It's going to be more nutty flavors, more oxidative notes.
And we still have the lees on the bottom, which is nice.
There's a lighter lees, that's correct.
Lighter lees.
So,
and that really helps soften this wine and actually build a nice body.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's really a fun way to do this particular Burgundian style wine when you have a barrels fermentation and then even ML, everything is through barrels. I just really like that.
Yeah, I think what David and I are really trying to achieve is a happy medium between new and old world style. It's a wine where you do get a luxury of oak that you find in California wines. It's riper flavors, stone fruit. But at the same time, there's a racy, vibrant acidity to it, and it's not super buttery or super oaky. You can really taste the fruit into it itself. So I think it's a nice combination.
I agree, and I would say this is a medium to medium high acid, so it's very enjoyable, very easy to drink, and at the same time, the flavor profile we'll be talking about it is kind of more in that stone fruit to actually tropical fruit, which is really for me, a very pleasant Chardonnay.
Yeah, you'll find it's kind of a blend of both, best of both worlds and best of both styles, for sure. After 20 months, we basically racked it finally into tank and then bottled it. Spent a year in bottle, and then last month we released it, so about 3 years of aging.
Yeah. Again, the numbers that we were shooting for, I think we were pretty good. The pH on this is 3.4, which is kind of that medium acidity. The TA, I love it. It's like 5.9, and we were shooting for around 6, so I mean, we're right there. I just think that the creaminess is really incredible, and that is that oak fermentation. It's a little bit harder to control temperature and stuff.
It's definitely harder to do.
Yeah, but we have a special room that we designed here that actually helps us. It has its own cooling system, its own humidity, and we were able to put these barrels in there, and that really did help keep that temperature where it didn't get up too hot for us.
Yeah.
But
it turned into be a beautiful wine, a nice golden color. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. It's just, I think the fruit was just fabulous, and I think the process worked out really well in our favor. And having to ferment it in oak barrels, I think just gave it a lot of body and creaminess, which I really love. Something I failed to mention is Chardonnay is considered the queen of wines. Of course, Cabernet Sauvignon is considered the king. And I would say this lady is really nicely dressed. Wow.
Yeah, really beautiful oak. It's nice butterscotch on there. Light caramel notes. Apricot.
I was just going to say stone fruit for sure. Yeah, very nice. I think we really nailed the flavor profile on this. I just think it's perfect. The acid is nice, it's not super sour or anything, but it's definitely right there on the edges of the tongue. You get a little bit of tingling. That is very, very nice.
That barrel fermentation, really, you can tell, helped integrate that oak too. So it's layered as opposed to you're tasting fruit and then oak, or as opposed to the oak first and then the fruit. It's intertwined with the wine really nicely.
Yeah, you think about some of the secondary flavors that you have on this, and we talked a little about stone fruit. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get some, because of that extended barrel aging, the 20 months we had it in here, that micro-oxidation definitely created, there's subtle nuttiness, aromas in there for sure. Hazelnut.
That is true, you're right. Hazelnut.
And other kind of baking nuts that you don't usually get if I went straight stainless steel or if I bottled it prematurely. And so that really comes through in this wine. There's a richness, there's really nice in the bottle of wine. It's really good.
it's really a luxury wine, isn't it? You know, I like that because Chardonnay should be a luxury wine. It should be beautiful. Again, it's the queen of wines. It should just have a velvet, mouthfeel to it. And I really like the finish. I mean, I can still taste that finish right now.
The length is there. And what I appreciate too is that we did age it for 3 years. We didn't try to, barrel it in the bottle and release it immediately. We did want to extend it to around 3 years. And so I think it really paid off. There's a lot more tertiary aromas, a lot more complexity, and I think it was worth the wait for sure.
Yeah, that hazelnut, that's more of a tertiary. That's really well done. Well, look at, cheers everybody.
Be perfect for Christmas.
Enjoy.